The kingdom of Varenthul had always feared the sky. Long ago, the stars had warned its people that when the moon turned red, something powerful would be born, something that could save the kingdom or destroy it. So, when a rare blood eclipse covered the heavens, the royal priests fell to their knees in dread. They whispered old prayers, hoping the moon would not bring them a curse. But far outside the palace, hidden in a quiet village of stone houses and dark forests, 2 children were born during that same night. They were twin boys, Liren and Saris, small and silent at first, but with strange, moon-shaped marks on their wrists that glowed a faint silver. The midwives gasped. Everyone knew the old prophecy. When twins rise under the blood moon, their souls shall reflect the power of kings. Beware the mirrored ones, for they carry the fate of the Alpha King's heirs. The villagers grew frightened. They feared the king, feared the prophecy, and feared what would happen if these children were discovered. So the twins' mother, weak and frightened herself, agreed to something she never wanted: to give the twins away, secretly, to stop anyone from connecting their birth to the prophecy. But the worst happened quickly. A traveling lord heard rumors of the strange twins. He believed the children were dangerous omens and ordered them to be taken. The twins were sold, sent away in separate directions, their small hands reaching out for each other until they were pulled apart. Liren was taken to the cold northern mines. Saris was sent to a distant southern manor. Neither boy saw the other again. Years passed. Their names faded from history, but their story did not end. The Alpha King. In the heart of the capital, the Alpha King, Kalen, stood in the moonlit hall of his palace. He was tall, strong, and carried the weight of a kingdom on his shoulders. His line had ruled for centuries, but a shadow clung to his blood. Every generation was touched by a mysterious curse, one that weakened the king's heirs, one that made enemies grow bold. Kalen had hoped his own children would escape this fate. But soon after the birth of his twin sons, Aaron and Dorian, the palace healers noticed something strange. Each prince carried a half-moon birthmark, glowing faintly like silver fire. Aaron bore the left half. Dorian bore the right. When placed side by side, the marks made a perfect full moon. The priests whispered. The elders panicked. And the seer of the palace looked terrified. She told the king, "The birthmarks match the marks of the moon-born twins from the old prophecy. Your heirs are only half of something greater." Kalen tried to hide the truth from the court, but the marks grew brighter each year, reacting to the moon and sometimes hurting the boys. The curse was waking. Something was missing, something that the royal family needed to survive. And then, one winter morning, a rumor reached the palace. A traveler claimed he had seen an Omega boy in the north with a moon-shaped scar on his wrist. Kalen felt a cold fear rise in his heart. If this rumor was true, then the prophecy had returned. The prince and the rumor. Prince Aaron, the elder twin, was sharp-eyed and calm, known for his discipline and quiet strength. His birthmark often burned at night, a slow, pulsing ache that he hid from everyone but his brother. When Kalen called him to the throne room, Aaron already suspected what the conversation would be about. "Aaron," the king said, his voice low and grave, "there is something you must investigate." Aaron bowed. "Is it about the birthmarks again?" "Ended." Kalen nodded. "A boy has been seen in the north. They say he carries a moon mark just like you and your brother." Aaron's heart tightened. "And you think he is the lost child from the prophecy?" "I fear it," Kalen admitted. "If such a child lives, he must be found. If he is dangerous, we must know. If he is part of the curse, we must understand." Aaron understood the hidden meaning. If the boy is a threat, remove him. But Kalen did not speak that aloud. The Alpha King looked tired. Shadows rested beneath his eyes. "Aaron," he said softly, "you must bring this boy to the capital, whatever it takes. We cannot run from this prophecy any longer." Aaron bowed again, though his stomach twisted. He did not like the idea of hunting a boy he had never met. But duty came before fear. Liren in the north. Far from the palace, Liren worked in the freezing mines of the north. Now nearly grown, he was quiet, reserved, and always kept his left wrist covered. The moon-shaped mark felt like a secret that watched him, even in the dark. The other workers whispered about him. They said he had strange dreams. They said shadows followed him. They said he was cursed. Liren ignored their words. He simply wanted to survive. He remembered soft hands holding his when he was a child. Another boy's hands, identical to his own. But the memory was fading like smoke. Every night, Liren looked at the moon and felt something missing inside him, like a piece of his soul had been taken away. He did not know that this missing piece was his twin. He did not know the curse that tied him to the royal bloodline. He did not know that someone was coming for him. The journey begins. Aaron rode north with a small group of guards. The wind was sharp, slicing through their cloaks. Snow covered everything in sight, turning the land into a silent white world. But Aaron felt a pull deep in his bones, a strange pressure that came from the birthmark on his wrist. It glowed faintly every night they camped. Sometimes it burned. Sometimes it whispered. Dorian, the younger prince, had begged to come, but Kaelin refused. The second heir stayed behind to help defend the capital, though he was restless and worried. Aaron felt his brother's unease through the strange connection they shared. The royal twins were closer than most. Sometimes one could sense the other's emotions, without words. But this time, the feeling came from somewhere else. Aaron felt another presence, soft, distant, lonely. A presence calling out without knowing it. The first encounter. When Aaron finally reached the northern mines, he found the place bleak and unfriendly. Workers stared at him with wary eyes. The overseer bowed stiffly, not hiding his fear. "You seek the boy with the mark?" the man asked. "Yes," Aaron answered. The overseer hesitated. "He is unusual, quiet, strange. Bring him to me." But Liren did not come easily. He stood at the far edge of the mine, refusing to approach the prince. Aaron walked to him instead. The moment their eyes met, something silent and powerful passed between them. Liren's breath caught. Aaron's birthmark flared like fire. The mark on Liren's wrist lit up in response. Workers gasped and backed away. Aaron stepped closer, his voice calm. "I mean you no harm. I only want to understand what this means." Liren shook his head. "You don't understand anything about me." His voice was soft but tense, as if he had spent years hiding his fear under quiet words. Aaron lowered his weapon. "I understand the mark. I carry one too." Liren looked startled, unsure whether to trust the prince. But then, something happened that froze both of them. Aaron gently removed his glove, revealing his half-moon mark. Liren lifted his sleeve, revealing his. The two marks glowed, but they did not match. Aaron's mark was only the left half. Liren's was also a left half. Two halves of the same shape, but not opposite sides. Aaron's heart dropped. Liren whispered. "Then, I am not the one you are looking for." Aaron stared, confused, shaken, and suddenly more worried than ever. If Liren was only half of the prophecy, then where was the other half? Before Aaron could speak, a cold wind swept through the mine, carrying a whisper that only Liren and Aaron seemed to hear. Two shadows born, one still missing. And in the far southern lands, Saris collapsed without warning, clutching his wrist as it began to glow. The wind in the northern mines still echoed with the strange whisper long after it faded. Snow drifted down softly, covering the ground around Aaron and Liren as they stood facing one another. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silver light on their wrists slowly dimmed, leaving only cold moonlight. Aaron was the first to breathe again. "If your mark matches mine," he said quietly, Then the prophecy was never about only one child. Liren's eyes lowered. His voice held a trembling edge. I told you, I'm not the one you seek. No, Aaron replied, his tone calm, but his mind racing. You are part of it. That means the other part is still out there. Liren looked away, as if he feared the truth hiding in Aaron's words. He had always felt half empty, half formed, as if someone else carried the other side of his soul. Now he knew why. He swallowed hard. There was another, he whispered. A boy who looked like me. I remember his hand in mine, but I don't remember anything else. We were separated when we were very small. Aaron listened closely. His heart tightened. Then, your twin is alive. Liren did not answer. He simply closed his eyes, as if the idea brought both hope and pain. Aaron turned to his guards. Prepare the horses. We return to the capital with Liren. The king must hear this. Liren stiffened. You want to take me to the palace? You carry part of the prophecy, Aaron said. We cannot understand the curse without you. Liren stepped back. The palace is no place for someone like me. I'm a minor, a servant. I have nothing to do with kings and their fate. That is not true, Aaron said firmly. Your mark proves more than your words. Liren hesitated, torn between fear and the strange pull he felt toward the prince. Aaron's presence was steady, warm, almost protective, something Liren had never felt from anyone before. But before he could speak, the pain struck. A sharp, burning shot through his wrist, so sudden that he gasped. Aaron reached forward, steadying him as Liren stumbled. What's happening? Aaron asked. I don't know, Liren breathed, gripping his arm. But Aaron felt it too. His own birthmark lit up in a violent silver glow. He winced, clenching his teeth. Their marks pulsed together, bright and wild, like two halves trying to call a missing part. And far away, in the southern lands, Ceres dropped to his knees on the cold stone floor of a manor corridor, clutching his identical mark as it burned. Ceres awakens. Ceres had lived a quiet life in the southern estate, treated more kindly than most, but always watched, always kept at a distance. The lord who owned the estate said he was special, though Ceres never understood what that meant. He had grown up gentle, mysterious, and silent, with pale eyes that seemed to see things others could not. Yet he always felt a strange emptiness, as if a part of him lived far away. Tonight, that emptiness felt sharper than ever. He curled on the floor, pressing his forehead to the cold stone as his wrist mark glowed with painful light. His breath shook. Not again, he whispered. But this time was different. This time, he saw a vision. A boy standing in snow, with the same face as his own. A boy clutching his wrist just like him. A boy calling silently across the distance. Liren, Ceres breathed, tears rising without his consent. He remembered a hand, a voice, a small laugh. He remembered being pulled away. He remembered screaming for someone he loved. The memories came rushing back like water breaking through a dam. Ceres gasped, his heart pounding. My brother. The lord of the manor rushed down the hall, panic in his voice. Ceres, what is happening? Ceres slowly lifted his head. His eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the mark on his wrist. I need to leave, he said softly. What? Impossible, the Lord answered. You belong to this estate. Ceres shook his head. No, I belong to someone else, and he is calling me. The Lord stepped back, frightened by the strange glow in Ceres's eyes. And Ceres, for the first time in his life, stood with quiet determination. I must find him. Back in the north, Aaron helped Liren to the entrance of the mine, both of their wrists still tingling with fading heat. What happened to us? Liren whispered. Our marks reacted to something, Aaron said. Or Someone. Liren's eyes widened. My brother. Aaron nodded slowly. It must be him. Liren's fear deepened. But so did his hope. Aaron watched him closely. You remember him. Only pieces. Liren replied. His voice. His warmth. Then darkness. Aaron felt a strange protectiveness rise in his chest. He placed a hand on Liren's shoulder. We will find him. Ah. We will find him. Ah. Liren met the prince's gaze. In Aaron's eyes, he saw honesty, something he was not used to receiving. You don't even know me, Liren said softly. Aaron's voice lowered. I think I am beginning to. Liren's breath caught slightly at the sincerity in his tone. The moment stretched between them, quiet and uncertain. But one of Aaron's guards approached and broke the silence. My prince, the storm is rising. We should leave before we are trapped. Aaron nodded. We leave at once. The journey south. The journey from the north to the capital was long and cold. Liren rode beside Aaron, wrapped in a thick cloak the prince had given him. It was warmer and gentler than anything he had ever worn. The road wound through forests, across frozen lakes, and over snow-covered hills. At night, they camped beneath the moon, whose silver glow always made Aaron and Liren uneasy. One night, as the fire crackled softly and the guards slept, Liren stared at his wrist, the mark dim but still warm. Why does the palace care about me? He murmured. I'm not important. Aaron turned his head toward him. Importance is not chosen. It is given by fate. Liren shook his head. Fate has never been kind to me. Aaron's gaze softened. Maybe it will start being kind now. Liren looked into the fire, unsure how to answer. He felt a strange comfort near Aaron, something he did not understand. After a long silence, Aaron spoke again. When you meet the king, do not fear him. He wants answers, not harm. Liren hesitated. And what do you want? Aaron looked at him, his voice quiet. The truth. Liren held that gaze for a moment longer than he meant to. Then he looked away, afraid of what he felt stirring inside him. Meanwhile, in the capital, back in the palace, Prince Dorian could not sleep. His birthmark had been glowing for days. Sometimes it hurt, sometimes it felt cold. But most of all, it felt incomplete. He walked through the silent halls, stopping at a window that overlooked the moonlit gardens. What are you hiding from me? He whispered to his glowing wrist. He had always been the softer twin, the more emotional one. Where Aaron was calm and disciplined, Dorian was sensitive and intuitive. Tonight, his intuition screamed that something was coming, someone, and he felt jealous, not of a person he knew, but of someone Aaron would soon bring home. Someone who was tied to their fate. Someone who would take space between the royal twins and change everything. Dorian pressed his forehead against the cold glass. Hurry home, brother, before this feeling grows too heavy. Southbound trouble. 3 days into their journey, Aaron sensed danger before he heard it. Horses. Many. He signaled to Liren. But Liren felt the same sharp panic. Something in his chest twisted painfully. The riders burst from the trees, men in dark armor with red emblems on their cloaks. Aaron's hand went immediately to his sword. They belong to the Shadow Court, he hissed. An enemy faction. They must know about the prophecy. Liren trembled. They're after me? Stay close, Aaron commanded. The riders charged. Aaron met them with swift, practiced strikes. His guards joined the fight. Liren stayed back, overwhelmed by the clash of steel. The cold air filled with the sharp ring of blades. But one rider broke through the line, heading straight for Liren. Aaron saw it too late. Liren! The rider reached out. But before he could touch Liren, a burst of silver light exploded from Liren's wrist. The rider screamed and fell from his horse. Aaron stared in shock. Your mark. It reacted. Nud, 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 nud. Liren looked at his glowing wrist in fear. I didn't do anything. It acted by itself. Aaron stepped in front of him, protective and tense. We must move. Now. Someone is hunting you. Liren's voice shook. And my brother? Aaron's gaze hardened. They will hunt him too. Liren's heart twisted painfully. Aaron placed a reassuring hand on his back. We will find him before they do. 9. 9 biting. Liren nodded, feeling a strange warmth spread through his chest at Aaron's steady presence. Far away. Saris traveled alone through dark forests and quiet roads, his mark glowing faintly to guide him. He did not know where he was going, only that something pulled him north towards someone who felt like part of himself. He paused by a riverbank, the moon reflecting on the water. Liren? He whispered. And somewhere, on the same night, Liren whispered the same name into the fire. Aaron heard the soft word and turned toward him slowly. You remember him? Liren nodded. More every day. Aaron looked at the moon, its light seeming brighter than usual. Then, we are running out of time. The moon hung low over the kingdom as Aaron and Liren continued their journey toward the capital. The snow had thinned, replaced by long stretches of dark forest and hills that seemed to whisper secrets. Every night, the silver marks on their wrists glowed brighter, as if guiding them toward something waiting ahead. But neither knew that Saris was already closer than they imagined. The road to the capital. Liren sat quietly on his horse beside Aaron. He kept glancing at his wrist, watching the faint silver light pulse like a heartbeat. His thoughts were scattered, full of memories he didn't understand. I keep remembering small things, Liren said softly. A laugh, a voice, a promise that we would stay together. Aaron turned toward him. Your brother? Liren nodded. Yes, Saris. Aaron felt a gentle ache in his chest. Liren's voice held both longing and fear. It made him want to protect him even more. You will see him again, Aaron said with quiet certainty. Liren looked up, surprised by how sure Aaron sounded. How do you know? Aaron touched his own wrist. Because your marks are calling each other, and because the curse will not stop until the 4 of us stand in the same place. Liren frowned. 4? You, Aaron said. Your twin, my twin, and me. Liren hesitated. Do you really believe the prophecy ties us all together? Aaron looked ahead at the road, his voice steady. I know it does. Liren lowered his gaze, but a soft warmth filled his chest at the prince's confidence. Saris drawn to the capital. Far south, Saris walked alone along a riverbank, heading steadily north. Unlike Liren, he had always felt the pull of the moon more strongly. His mark did not just glow, it guided him, pulling him toward something bright and sharp in his heart. He stopped at a small village to rest. Children stared at him, noticing his pale eyes and silver mark, but Saris offered a gentle smile. His presence was calm, soft, and somehow comforting. While drinking from a fountain, he felt a sudden wave of dizziness. The world around him dimmed, and the river's surface rippled unnaturally. Then a vision flashed before his eyes. Aaron, fighting in a dark forest. Liren standing behind him, frightened. Shadows closing in. Saris gasped and gripped the fountain edge. No. I need to reach them, he murmured. He didn't know who the prince was, but he knew Liren, his lost half. And if Liren was in danger, Saris would walk through fire to reach him. He continued north, faster now, driven by an instinct older than words, trouble before the capital. Aaron and Liren stopped at a small, abandoned outpost 2 nights before reaching the capital. The guards pitched tents nearby, but Aaron and Liren sat by a quiet fire together. The flames reflected in Liren's eyes. Aaron watched him carefully. You look worried, the prince said. Liren nodded slowly. I feel something, like a storm inside me. It's the bond between twins, Aaron said. Saris must be feeling what you feel. Maybe even more strongly. Liren hugged his cloak around himself. What if he is hurt? Aaron's expression softened. Then we will help him. Liren looked up. Why do you care so much? Aaron hesitated. He didn't have a simple answer. From the moment he saw Liren, he felt a pull that was more than the prophecy, something personal, something quiet and dangerous. He chose his words carefully. Because you matter, he said softly. To this kingdom, and to me. Liren's breath caught quietly, and he looked away, unsure what to do with the warmth rising in his chest. But the moment was cut short by a sharp noise in the woods. A branch snapped. Aaron stood at once, drawing his sword. Stay close to me. Liren followed, heart pounding. Shadows moved between the trees, silent, fast, and wrong. Aaron's guards joined them, forming a circle. Shadow court spies, one guard whispered. But Aaron felt something different. No, he said slowly. This feels older. A low hum filled the air, like the sound of distant chanting. The moon brightened overhead, and suddenly, dark shapes drifted into view spirits, half-formed and silver-eyed, floating like smoke. Liren gasped and backed into Aaron. Aaron steadied him with one hand while raising his sword with the other. These are not living enemies. The spirits circled them, whispering in voices only Liren seemed to understand. One still missing. One still lost. The moon demands its halves. Aaron swung his sword, but it passed harmlessly through the figures. Liren stepped forward, trembling. What do you want? The spirits turned to him as one. Find the missing one, before the curse finds him first. Then they vanished. The forest fell silent. Liren collapsed to his knees, shaking. Aaron knelt beside him, immediately, placing a steadying hand on his back. It's okay, Aaron murmured. Breathe. They're gone. Liren forced himself to breathe slowly. The warmth of Aaron's hand helped more than he expected. Aaron, he whispered. Something terrible is coming. Aaron nodded. Yes, and we need to face it together. Arrival at the palace. By the next day, Liren was exhausted but determined. When the great white walls of the capital finally came into view, he felt his heart rise into his throat. The city was enormous, with tall stone towers and banners waving in the wind. People stared as Aaron rode through the gates with Liren at his side. Some bowed to the prince, some whispered fearfully at the glowing mark on Liren's wrist. Liren tried to keep his head down. Aaron noticed his discomfort. You're safe here, he said gently. Liren wished he believed it. Inside the palace, Prince Dorian rushed forward, relief flooding his face. Aaron, you're finally... But he froze when he saw Liren. The glow of their marks reacted instantly. Dorian's wrist shone brightly. Liren's did the same. Aaron stepped between them protectively. Dorian, he said calmly. This is Liren. Dorian swallowed hard. Jealousy flickered in his eyes, but quickly faded into shock. His mark. It matches yours, Dorian whispered. No, Aaron said softly. It matches mine. Dorian stepped closer, studying Liren with a mixture of curiosity and confusion. You're the moon-marked child, Dorian said. The one from the prophecy. Liren looked down. Half of it, he whispered. Aaron's father, King Kalen, entered the hall at that moment. His expression stern but weary. He gazed at Liren for a long, silent moment. So, Kalen said quietly, you are one of the twins the prophecy spoke of. Liren bowed his head. Yes, Your Majesty. And the other? Kalen asked. Liren hesitated. I feel him, but I don't know where he is. The king nodded slowly. Then we must find him before the curse spreads. Liren looked up quickly. What curse? Kalen turned to Aaron and Dorian, his voice heavy with truth. The curse that binds our family, and yours, the king said. It is older than we are, and it wakes when the moonborn are separated. Liren's heart clenched. Separated. Like my brother and me. Kalen nodded. Yes, your divided souls echo through the royal bloodline. My sons feel the same fracture you do. Aaron and Dorian exchanged uneasy glances. The king continued. The curse feeds on separation, on fear, on broken bonds, and it grows stronger every day. Liren felt cold. So, if we do not find Cerys, the kingdom will suffer, Kaelin finished, and so will all of you. Cerys drawn to the palace. That night, Cerys reached the outskirts of the capital. His mark burned with urgency. He could feel Liren nearby, closer than ever before. The moon was full, glowing with unnatural brightness. Cerys stopped at the gates, breathing hard, his heart pounding with hope. Liren, he whispered. I'm coming. Liren's vision. In the palace, Liren sat alone in a guest chamber, staring at the moon. His wrist throbbed. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pull, as if someone had grabbed his heart and tugged. His breathing quickened. His vision blurred. Images flashed in his mind. A boy with his face, standing alone near the city walls. A full moon behind him. Eyes filled with longing. Cerys, Liren whispered, tears rising. He stood abruptly, practically running from the room. Aaron stepped into the hallway just in time to see him rush past. Liren? What's wrong? Oh, he's here! Aaron felt his mark burn. Dorian felt it too. Aaron's eyes widened. Lead the way. Liren ran through the palace halls. Aaron and Dorian close behind. They burst out into the courtyard. And there, standing under the silver moonlight, was Cerys. Liren froze. Cerys froze. Two halves of the same soul stared at each other. Slowly, Cerys stepped forward. Liren, he whispered. Liren's voice broke. Cerys. The twins reached for one another. When suddenly, a shock wave of silvery energy exploded outward from their marks. Aaron and Dorian shielded their eyes. The ground trembled. The air shook. The moonlight brightened. A deep, ancient voice echoed across the courtyard. 4 souls must unite, or all shall fall. Aaron grabbed Liren's arm. Dorian grabbed Cerys. But the moonlight grew blinding, and the prophecy finally awakened. The night of the eclipse rose slowly, like a curtain lifting over a grand stage. The sky was deep silver, and the moon looked larger than any night before. It felt as if the heavens themselves were watching the palace of Varenthal, waiting to see how the final chapter of the prophecy would unfold. Inside the palace, the air was filled with a strange calm. Servants whispered as they moved, every candle flickering as though touched by hidden breath. The 4 young men, Aaron, Dorian, Liren, and Cerys, stood in the grand hall, the same room where many rulers of the kingdom once made their vows. Tonight, a different kind of vow waited for them, one written long before they were born. Aaron stood silent, watching the moonlight spill through the tall glass windows. His heart felt full and heavy. He kept glancing at Liren, who stood near him with calm eyes but trembling fingers. Aaron had never felt so protective of someone. He wanted to reach out, hold Liren's hand, and tell him everything would be fine. But he could not promise something he was not sure of. Liren felt Aaron's gaze. He looked up and gave a small, brave smile. Even though fear rested inside him like a cold stone, he felt stronger because Aaron stood beside him. Their bond had grown slowly, first through tension, then trust, then something deeper that neither dared to name. Across the room stood Dorian and Cerys. Dorian kept glancing at Cerys, with worry written across his face. He wanted to help him, to guide him, to be someone Cerys could depend on. But Cerys was harder to read. His eyes were soft, but distant, like he was here, and somewhere else, at the same time. Cerys's soul still felt divided. He felt close to Dorian, drawn to him in a quiet, warm way. But he also felt a strange connection to Aaron. A connection born from the moment he had called Aaron's name during the ritual. He did not understand why. And not understanding frightened him. The royal seer entered the room in her silver robes. Her eyes shone like pale lanterns. "The eclipse begins," she said gently. "All four of you must step forward. 15, PC. I, Im. All four of you must step forward." The young men moved toward the center of the hall, where a circular pattern was carved into the marble floor. Soft blue light rose from the carving, swirling upward like mist. The seer spoke again. "The prophecy has always been clear. The royal twins and the moonborn twins are four pieces of one whole. When united, your bonds create harmony. When divided, the kingdom falls into imbalance." Aaron felt Liren's shoulder brush his. Dorian moved a little closer to Cerys. For a moment, hope flickered among them. Perhaps unity was possible. The seer lifted her hands. "Tonight, the eclipse opens the path to complete the bond. But only honesty of heart can guide the ritual. Each of you must speak a truth you fear." The hall grew still. Aaron's heart pounded. He took a step forward. "My truth," he said softly, "is that I am afraid to fail the people I care about. I fear losing Liren. I fear losing the kingdom. I fear I am not strong enough to carry both." Liren's eyes softened with emotion. The blue light responded, lifting gently around Aaron like wind. Then Liren took his own step forward. His voice shook slightly. "My truth is that I never believed I deserved a safe life. I never believed anyone would fight for me. But I want to stay. I want to stop running from my own heart." Aaron's breath caught at Liren's words. The blue glow grew stronger, swirling around the two of them. Dorian swallowed hard as he stepped forward. "My truth," he said, "is that I have always tried to be perfect. But I am not. And sometimes the desire to be perfect blinds me. I want to protect Cerys, but I do not know how. Still, I want to learn." Cerys watched him with wide eyes. The light trembled softly. Finally, Cerys stepped forward. He placed a hand over his chest. "My truth is that I feel incomplete. I have memories that feel like dreams, and dreams that feel like memories. But, even in confusion, I feel drawn to you three. I want to belong. I want to understand who I am without fear." The blue light rose like a pillar, surrounding all four of them at once. The air hummed warmly. The seer smiled gently. "Your truths open the path. Now, let your hearts guide the final step." The eclipse shifted, and a bright ring of light spilled through the ceiling windows. The sigils on Aaron's and Dorian's bodies glowed. The matching moon marks on Liren and Cerys lit up as well. Slowly, the glow from all four sigils reached toward one another, connecting in the center of the circle. The light braided itself into one shining pattern, a unified moon symbol, whole and brilliant. But as the light grew stronger, Cerys suddenly gasped. His body shimmered, as if he were made of mist. Aaron stepped toward him, alarm twisting his features. "Cerys?" Aaron called. Cerys looked at him with sad eyes. "I think this is what the eclipse wants." Dorian reached out, but his hand passed through Cerys's arm like touching smoke. "No, stay, please." Cerys smiled, soft and peaceful. "The kingdom needed harmony. Now the world needs balance. If I go where the moon calls me, maybe I can find the missing pieces of my soul." Liren's eyes filled with tears he could not hold back. "But where will you go?" Cerys looked upward toward the glowing moon. "I don't know. But I am not afraid, because I have all of you in my heart." The blue light wrapped around him gently, like soft ribbons of sky. His form became lighter and lighter, until only a faint outline remained. Aaron whispered, "We will find you." Cerys gave a small nod. "I know." And then, in a burst of silver glow, he vanished like moonlight fading at dawn. The circle dimmed. The sigils faded. The hall fell quiet. Dorian stood frozen, staring at the empty space where Saris had been. Aaron placed a hand on his shoulder. Liren gently held Dorian's other hand. Together, the three of them stood in silence, feeling both grief and a strange peace. The seer stepped forward with steady eyes. Do not fear his loss. He is not gone. He has simply crossed into the moon realm, a place between light and shadow. He will return when the time is right. And when he does, he will be whole. Dorian exhaled shakily. We will wait for him. Aaron nodded. And when he returns, we will stand together again. Liren looked toward the moon, which slowly began to dim as the eclipse ended. We will find him, he whispered, as if sending the message across the night sky. The moonlight faded. The grand hall grew quiet. But something warm filled the air. A promise. A future. A beginning, rather than an ending. Aaron looked at Liren with gentle eyes. Liren smiled softly. Dorian wiped his eyes and found strength returning to his voice. And I will not give up on Saris, no matter how far he goes. The three of them walked toward the palace balcony. Outside, the kingdom lay wrapped in calm night, unaware of the changes that had saved it. Above them, the moon shone with a faint silver ring, the last trace of the eclipse. A soft voice seemed to whisper on the wind, gentle and distant. A soul divided can be found again, but only if the heart remains open. Aaron, Liren, and Dorian stood together under the moon. Their bond, though missing one piece, felt stronger than ever. And somewhere beyond the mountains, in a place touched by glowing moonlight, Saris opened his eyes in a strange new world, and smiled. The story of their unity had ended, but the story of their destiny had only just begun.